next, What If? I've only seen the first 4 episodes. I know that there's 5 more that I haven't seen. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's 9.
There's 9. They actually, I think they did a storyboard for 11, but they had to cut 2 of the episodes. And when you see the finale, some stuff in the finale doesn't kind of make sense because of those 2 cut episodes. Or not doesn't make sense, but it's like you can tell that there were stories that were meant to be told that weren't told that would have made more sense in the finale. But I don't know if you figured it out by now. And if you haven't figured it out, then sorry, it's kind of a spoiler. But it's all building towards something. Okay. As a concept, I believe when we did our ranking of most anticipated shows, it ended up on my bottom just because I was of the opinion that it was just going to be, anthology stories, just like, hey, this would be a nice what if, what if. You said you've seen episode 4?
You've seen episode 4. The first episode, Peggy Carter as Captain America. The second episode, which is, which one was the second episode?
Second episode was Star-Lord T'Challa.
Third episode is What If All the Avengers Died? Captain America.
Yes.
Yeah, and then fourth episode, which that third episode made me think that maybe there is something. So I don't know if that ties into it, but that third episode made me think there's going to be more than just what they have. I thought it was going to be one of those things that was like the second season might have a follow up to each episode, not necessarily it's all the same, all going to be followed up at one time, but I don't know yet, obviously. And then the fourth one that I saw was the Doctor Strange one, which was, I think, was really strange. It was really,
that was a really good episode. So I thought it was just gonna be like one-off stories, what if Doctor Strange lost his girl, and whose name I'm forgetting, played by
Emma. No. Emily. No.
Wow, why am I forgetting her name too? Regina from Mean Girls.
Michael MacArthur? No.
No, doesn't. Yeah, Rachel McAdams. Thank you. Yes, played by Rachel McAdams. So and she came back to do her voice. I thought it was gonna be like one-off thingies like that, but no, the stories are pretty engaging. We did have a lot of the original cast members come back and do their voices, which is good. Some didn't, like Lake Bell plays Black Widow instead of Scarlett Johansson. I think Mick Wingert plays Iron Man instead of Tony Stark, instead of Robert Downey Jr. So things like that. But the stories are engaging, and there were some nice like tie-ins. And from a not even just a personal perspective, I'm pretty sure everyone feels this way. It was good to hear Chadwick Boseman again. This was his final time playing T'Challa, after his tragic death in 2020.
Also, is this his final role period?
2020 or 2019? When did he die? Last year?
2019.
20.
I think. Did he die after
2020? 2020.
Yeah, he died during COVID.
Yeah.
It's so sad that we distinguish like a lot of things based on COVID. I don't know if you noticed that, like pre-COVID
before
or
and
post-COVID.
after. So it's his final MCU role. I don't know if it was his final role. I think he might have done something. He might have filmed something else. I don't know. But yeah, it was good to hear him. I love the T'Challa Star-Lord episode. But we know, or my ranking would have changed with the foresight of what happened in Loki, because Loki opened up the whole multiverse thingy with how that finale went. Yeah. So which made us go into What If with the assumption that this might actually be somewhat canon. And I'm still of that assumption after the finale, without giving away too much.
Well, based off of what we've heard about Spider-Man Far From Home or No Way Home, I'm of the opinion that everything comic book related movie-wise is basically canon.
Yeah.
If they're going to be bringing different Spider-Man from different...
Oh, I see what you mean. Every Marvel movie is now canon.
Everything is canon now. It has the opportunity of being canon. Because they just announced that that's another thing that we didn't even mention. They just announced that Daredevil is going to be the same actors but rebooted, which to me just means make it PG-13.
And possibly Jessica Jones. And I know that they've
Punisher too.
Yes, John Bernthal. Yeah, they're rehiring a lot of those people, especially if they're not contracted on another network like the guy Luke Cage is with CBS.
Is that why that's what's holding them up from being able? You know, they're gonna be able to find a way to, if they really want it, because people love him as Luke Cage. I really like him as Luke Cage.
They'll pay him. They'll pay him. Or they'll pay off CBS, Viacom, whatever they need to do. No, you're right. Any Marvel comic movie that's come out is potentially canon now. Because we just explain it as, well, this is universe 123, and this is
123.
Universe 616, and yada yada. I think 616 is the main line. No, 616 is the mainline universe.
Oh, I'm sorry. Speaking of 666.
No,
is that where the one where evil Doctor Strange is from?
That's 666. Yes. So as a concept, it's really good. I would urge you to watch all of them. I think my least favorite episode is probably, probably episode 3, the one with Hank Pym.
You really like that one? For some reason, out of the first 4 that I've seen, that's my favorite one.
Really? Yeah, that's my least favorite. Of the first 4, my favorite was the T'Challa one. Of
course.
T'Challa Star-Lord. I love that. A lot of people hated the fact that the way he beat Thanos was through a conversation. Yeah, and like he made Thanos a good guy. People hated that. I actually love that. I think, and I thought Josh Brolin was great in that
ties into the whole idea that, people are just one conversation, one action away from completely off the rails,
Like, it doesn't have to be a fight, it doesn't have to be. No. Yeah. So I quite like that a lot. Josh Brolin was great in that episode too. And so was oh my goodness.
You're talking about genocide. That always cracked me up every time. I think that's still genocide.
It's got its merits. Nebula, I forget her name, but she also came back to do her voice. Kat Gillan, someone Gillan, whatever. Yeah, she came back to do her voice. She was great in that. She was like a film noir type of Nebula. So that was my favorite episode of the ones that you've watched. There's a Thor episode later in the season that's also really good. I think that's episode 7. That one is, you either love it or hate it. It plays a lot like a Ferris Bueller's Day Off type of deal.
Which one?
The Thor episode 7.
Okay.
Yeah. So all in all, though, it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed waking up on Wednesdays to watch that. I didn't do 3 a.m. like the other ones just because we didn't have to record. But I enjoyed waking up.
And I think that's one of the reasons we also didn't record after every episode, because we didn't think it was, it was like, whatever, we can talk about these whenever we want,
Exactly. Yeah. We didn't think it was like canon, or like, we were like, it's an anthology series. You can,
But I think that was our own mistake for not realizing that MCU is very methodical when it comes to the things that they do. And there's really no reason as to why they would release a series that doesn't have some type of tie-in somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Like, they have to have it somewhere. So looking forward to find out what that is. Maybe when I actually do watch it, maybe the next episode, I'll have knocked out Shang-Chi and the final What If episodes. I'm hoping that the next episode, we're not over here talking about watching Eternals, because that's November, which is coming up pretty soon. But that's the reason I want to do this, since we have this 25 movies. It's a perfect round number for us to do our top 25 before Eternals come out, or when Eternals come out. So,
yes. Do you have high expectations for Eternals, medium or low?
I'm gonna go with medium well.
Medium.
If it was a steak. Not well done. It's not up there.
Yeah. I'm honestly right at medium, or maybe even medium, like on the lower end of medium.
This is gonna be a long ass movie too. They say it's like the second longest movie ever out of MCU after Endgame.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
But actually, now that I think about it, that might be a good thing, though, because all those characters are in there. It might require a lot of time.
That's true.
Because if you think about it, Endgame was a long ass movie, but they had so many things that they tried to, because technically speaking, after a while, they had what, 5 storylines going on with the different places that they went to.
The different groupings that they had, but
and every rewatch that I see it, I'm always amazed at how they made it flow so well. So I think that's the key.
Well, but the thing is, even with Endgame having all those teams going together, we already knew the characters, right? So they didn't have to introduce us to the characters and let us know who's who. Infinity War, you could kind of say they were trying to introduce Thanos, the character, but we pretty much knew everyone else. Endgame, they didn't have to do that, and yet it was still super long. Now, in this one, they have to introduce, what, the Eternals are like, what, 7 of them? 6?
I think it's 7. For some reason, I've been thinking it was like 9. But you might be right.
Whatever, it could be 9. So these are all characters we don't know. So they also have to introduce them in the same movie that you're doing a team up. I don't know. We'll see. I'm reserving judgment, but I'm not like super excited.
Yeah, we'll watch that because afterwards it might be one of those things where we'll have to be like, were they better off doing just, maybe one movie with 2 or 3 characters before they added the other ones or something like that. Kind of like Guardians. Guardians did a good job of introducing all these characters.
That is true. Yeah. In one movie, yeah. Okay, so the next topic is what?
Agatha is getting her spin.
Okay, yeah.
And this just a quick reaction. What do you think about that? What do you think they're gonna do with it? I can tell you what I kind of want out of it.
Yeah, I think I speak for a lot of people. I definitely speak for both of us when I say we love Agatha Harkness. Yeah. We love Catherine Hahn in the role.
Love it, even though she killed the dog too.
Yes, she killed Sparky. I don't know, man. Like, I'm one of those people who's like,
too much of a good thing.
Yeah, exactly, right? Like, just let it be. Like, don't fall into the Hollywood trap of like, oh, people love this movie, so let's make a sequel, and the sequel is not good. I worry about that with this, but I always tend to worry about that with everything. Just like I did with Better Call Saul. I thought, okay, Breaking Bad was good. Do we really need another show?
And then it ends up being better.
And I think Better Call Saul. I think Better Call Saul is better than Breaking Bad.
You tell me that. I still don't believe it until I see it. Well, the same thing could be said about Mayans, right? I'm like, why are you revisiting the same world after Sons of Anarchy? But it honestly, I love Mayans more. He points to his skin, might be a reason for that, but I do like Mayans more. And then, but I think the thing I just want to see, where do they go with it? Because I'm like, if it's a continuation of her story, basically where she gets her memory back, how she's stuck with what Wanda did to her. Mm-hmm. If it's that's one thing. Or if it's
like
an
origin
story to see how she became who she became. Because that's one of the questions that people had. And then finally, maybe Kevin Feige is like, maybe we do this. We can finally get him to shut up about Mephisto, and actually bring him in. So, I really like the character, so I'm more than happy to see the character again. I'm like, I agree with you. Maybe there's an issue there that are you going into the wishing well a little too much with this one in particular? Because it's kind of like, we all wanted to see a movie of Black Widow, but then Black Widow came out and you were like, all right.
Yeah, I think Black Widow came out too late.
Wait.
I almost wonder if COVID hadn't happened and Black Widow came out that May of 2020 like it was supposed to, and there wasn't like this big gap between Marvel movies.
And big buildup too.
Yes. Would we be as harsh to Black Widow as we are currently? And I think that's because it was the first Marvel movie in almost 2 years, over 2 years. So I think it's like we were expecting, right out the gate, but it just wasn't that.
I still think unless it was Shang-Chi, like you said, the way Shang-Chi came out really well, right? Because it was an origin story. I kind of feel like any movie that came after Endgame was kind of going to be a little bit, had something to live up to, hard.
Yeah, but no, because Far From Home.
I thought Far From Home disappointing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I like Far From Home. It wasn't obviously it wasn't Endgame level, and I wasn't going into it expecting Endgame level. But I thought I thought it did the Spider-Man thing well enough.
I think Far From Home would have been better to me if they had done that. If it had been like you let Endgame settle in, you know what I mean? Like just let it feel like it's not the end, but because I don't think of Far From Home as the last movie in the Infinity Cycle. Yeah. I think it is the next movie after the Infinity Cycle.
No, so it's supposed to play as like an epilogue.
I get what they're trying to play with, but I'm just saying, I feel like it hits more along the same lines as I thought the Black Widow was the real end of the Infinity Cycle because that was the last main character to finally have their movie, right? But I feel like Far From Home would have served better to be part of this, this new cycle with WandaVision.
I think Far From Home and Black Widow should have been its own like blank period. So you have your phase 1, phase 2, phase 3 blank period, and then you've got your phase 4, which are these TV shows and Shang-Chi and yada yada.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the two of them, you really could take them out, and there isn't really doesn't affect anything except for the fact that part of the central plot line of Far From Home has to do with the fact that they found out that he is Spider-Man.
Yeah. No, that's not. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and then I just feel like there was a little bit. It's just honestly, Marvel did it to themselves, which is a good thing to do to themselves. Which is they just set up Endgame so well. Mm-hmm. That was a 10-year. What was it? 10, 12 years worth of movies that they just culminated into a final. It just had such a finality feel to it that's why after that it was honestly, if Black Widow had happened right after the first Avengers as it should have happened, that movie would easily have been like a top 10 movie for a long time, just because it would have fit so well. Or even if they had done it right after Civil War, which I mean, it's a direct sequel to Civil War. If they had done it right after Civil War, I think it would have served better. The placement of Black Widow is just weird. I think with for me the Far From Home part, the problem with that one is just like I'm still coming down from this incredible high from Endgame that it's just like it's a lot to live up to. So that's why I feel ended up happening there. Like it was just so much. But
just real quick. The only problem with releasing Black Widow right after Civil War is like you would have had to shelve the character of Yelena for a few years before bringing her back. Which because I'm pretty sure they want to make her
the actual movie. I'm just saying a Black Widow movie. Like, it just felt very 2008ish kind of in a sense, like the kind of movie that it could have been.
Yeah, I think it would have honestly worked better as like a mini series, like a really short limited series, Black Widow movie. A Black Widow limited series, kind of like what they're doing with Hawkeye, instead of making it a movie, because you make it a movie and you give it such lofty expectations. I
actually would have been down for a Black Widow Hawkeye movie. Like if they had done that, that might have worked a little bit better for me. But anyway,
I'm glad they're giving them their own space to breathe, their own space to grow. Each of them,
Either way, it's all good because a hit or miss with Marvel is like we're still talking about it.
It's a hit for most studios.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like it's not that big of a problem. So anyways. All right, cool. So that's the MCU ZZ Talk MCU roundup. Obviously, that's a good portion of our conversation. Now we're quick.